Have you ever thought about building a system to organize your digital life, but instead of turning to productivity gurus, you looked to ancient Greek philosophy? Well, in this explainer, we're diving into the cybernetic soul, a really unique framework where Aristotle, believe it or not, meets the algorithm. Just for a second, think about your digital world. All your apps, your files, the countless notes you have scattered everywhere. What's really stopping it all from just collapsing into a black hole of total digital chaos? You know, for most of us, the answer's pretty simple, right? A few folders here, maybe some tags there. But what if that basic need to get organized spiraled into a deep philosophical framework that actually redefines how you capture, process, and even think about information? Well, that is the exact origin story of the system we're looking at today. This whole intricate framework, this wild journey into philosophy, it was all sparked by a single and really deceptively simple question. So this whole thing didn't begin with some grand vision. Nope. It started with a really basic software tracking problem, and the hunt for a solution led, totally unexpectedly, straight into the heart of Aristotelian metaphysics. And here it is. This is the question that started it all. Your tracking software, right? You need a column to note if it runs on Windows or Mac OS or Android. Seems totally straightforward. You just call it OS or platform. But see, in a system that's already built on these deep philosophical principles, a simple label just wasn't going to cut it. The name had to be, get this, ontologically accurate. So to name one single column in a database, the search went all the way back to ancient Greece. Okay, so first let's get the foundation down. In Aristotle's thinking, Heil is pure potential. It's the raw stuff waiting to be shaped. In our digital world, this is the silicon, the processor, the actual physical phone in your hand, the bare metal. Now, the next piece of this puzzle is morphe. That's the form, the shape that gets imposed on that raw matter. So the operating system, it isn't the hardware itself, it's that first layer of logic, the structure that gives the hardware its actual function. So the OS, then, it's not the matter itself, it's the environment where the software actually runs. The perfect philosophical and technical term for this underlying layer is substrate. And boom, that became the name of the column. Okay, so organizing what you already know, that's one challenge. But what about that endless flood of new information coming at you every day? How do you build a system to handle the chaos of just daily discovery? This is where we get to the next level of the problem. You don't just need a system for storage, you need one for ingestion. A way to take what the system's creator calls spontaneous epistemological energy, which is just a really fancy term for any new idea or link or thought that just pops into your head, and turn it into structured, useful knowledge. The solution was to actually build an engine, a conceptual machine with the absolutely fantastic name, the Informulation Pyrofunnel. It's a whole system designed to funnel the entire universe of ideas directly into your personal knowledge base. And the process works in 3 stages. First, there's the cosmic scan. You just look out at the world with a beginner's mind open to anything. Then, the vortex of synthesis. You actively pull that raw idea into your system. And finally, the core code. You analyze it, breaking it all the way down to its fundamental DNA. And it's this fusion, this combination of a mechanical engine with a process for understanding organic, almost lifelike information. That's where the system gets its name. This is where the machine truly meets life. At the very heart of this engine is an incredibly clever, multi-layered pun that really captures its entire philosophy. Baby in formulation. Okay, so this works on 2 levels. First, it's all about seeing the world with the vision of a baby. You know, a beginner's mind, totally open to all possibilities. But the second layer, that's where it gets really profound. It's about baby formula. You're not just taking in a raw idea, you are scientifically breaking it down and synthesizing it into a perfect nutrient to feed and grow your living digital system. You know, after this whole system was analyzed, an AI actually came up with a title that just perfectly captured its essence. It wasn't just a database, it was the Cybernetic Soul, an Aristotelian framework for digital mastery. And that name just perfectly captures the core concept, doesn't it? Cybernetic refers to the engine, the machine logic. But soul, that represents the living, organic side of things, the part that deals with DNA, perception, and growth. It's a really beautiful paradox. See, this system isn't meant to be just a tool. The ultimate goal here is to create a digital extension of yourself that functions like a living thing, a machine machine that breathes, grows, and has this profound intentionality. Essentially, a machine with a soul. Okay, so this is all fascinating stuff, but what are the real-world implications? Why should anyone outside of this one particular system really care? Because this elevates the whole idea of personal knowledge management from just simple storage to applied philosophy. It creates what's known as a functional ontology, a model for understanding reality that you can actually click on and interact with every single day. And because of that depth, it has this incredibly broad appeal. This isn't just for productivity nerds. It speaks directly to philosophers, cognitive scientists, systems theorists, and pretty much anyone who's trying to build a second brain. Let's just look at the breakthroughs this kind of framework offers. For philosophy, it's applying ancient metaphysics to modern software. For cognitive science, it's a real working model of extended mind theory. For cybernetics, it's a flawless feedback loop for turning chaos into order. And for those of us building a second brain, it takes the whole concept from just being storage to being a tool for self-actualization. Which brings us to a final, pretty challenging question for our own digital lives. Is your second brain just a digital filing cabinet for your thoughts? Or are you maybe cultivating something more, something that actually feels alive?